Jimmy and JoAnne, we're here for one of the last broadcasts of 2019. How are you both doing?
Great.
Doing fine, thank
Doing
you.
very well, Jason.
It's so nice to see you both. I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and I want to thank you for participating in the very Corsi Christmas special. I think everybody was delighted to see you there and the beautiful Christmas tree. It was such a cute scene of you two.
Well, that was a really interesting show. I'd like to see you do some more of those. I know that was a lot of trouble technically, but
Well, we liked it a
yeah,
lot, Jason. It was a lot of fun to talk to Dr. Corsi again and see Charles and you. That was,
and
and
reaction.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
very,
real
very
good.
nice. And to hear Dr. Corsi, it's nice to hear us with Dr. Corsi because we spent so much time with him and a number of years writing articles about Libya. And really, we don't talk about that too much, and he doesn't talk about it, but we really spent a lot of time doing articles.
Yeah, and it was nice to see Dr. Corsi and Mrs. Corsi having a relaxed holiday at home. Of course, they told us about how last year Robert Mueller really kind of destroyed their holiday season. I mean, I can only imagine the intense, nervousness that he must have felt at the prospect of losing their home, losing his freedom. So it was really a very nice change of pace to have Christmas. I mean, this is what these lawyers like to do, right? Drop some crappy information on you
Oh
right
yeah.
before the holidays
Yeah.
to really stress you out. So thank you both again for participating there. And I think that Dr. Corsi is back on his feet, and hopefully in 2020, there'll be more opportunities for you to collaborate with him again and bring some more of your information forward.
Well,
Yeah.
as we said to Jerry, welcome to our world. They've been doing that to us, and we've had nobody behind us. We've never had any attorneys with us when they confiscate us or anything like that. So, it was a welcome to our world for Jerry, and it's really a wake up for anybody because what the bad guys have the ability to do is so horrendous and so
Yeah.
life changing that
Well,
you
they have no bounds. They're the
yeah,
controller of the people that would stop them. They
no
are the people that
legitimacy.
would stop them, so they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And Dr. Corsi, he told he when we first started working with him didn't realize our story, and he didn't get that till later. But he said he was so surprised at our story. But he does his own part for helping to wake people up. So I was so pleased that he was writing articles for me from the tribes
Yeah.
in 2012, 13, 14, and 15 because nobody would take those articles. Nobody would write them. Nobody would talk to us. So it was a real blessing to us to have him publishing those articles at WorldNet Daily.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people forget about some of the contributions that Dr. Corsi has made as far as revealing information about HSBC money laundering and
That's right.
information about the Down Low Club in Chicago, the birth certificate. I mean, Dr. Corsi, in my view, is a living legend. I think a lot of the negative comments that we see about the doctor online are coming from social engineers who recognize that he's a formidable force. And even as just, a lone operator, he's put out so many books. He's interviewed you guys. He's a Harvard PhD. I support the doctor. I'm pleased that he was not wrongfully thrown in jail. I see so many comments that he's, somebody who I used to work with put out the ridiculously stupid comment of why didn't Dr. Corsi testify in his friend Roger Stone's trial? I think in addition to being a drunk and a liar, the person who put out that stupid comment doesn't realize that you don't just go testify in trials of people. Even if they are your friend, you've got to be subpoenaed to testify. And the fact is, no one compelled Dr. Corsi to testify in the Roger Stone trial, so he didn't. He was fully prepared to. But people like to put these statements out there. The very tall, dishonest person that I'm talking about likes to put out these false statements to throw shade on Dr. Corsi and others. And we see people doing it to you too, to me. It's something that I'm making a very concerted effort to stop, these social engineers. I think that part of the reason they've come out so strongly against Crowdsource the Truth is that, as you were saying earlier, there's this really powerful control mechanism in place that they can use to stop information that they don't like from coming forward. And the system that we've developed, in part with your help, by having these shows on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. It's defying that method in certain regards because it allows independent co-hosts like Jimmy and JoAnne to be financially supported by the viewers rather than by me or some corporate sponsor or something like that. So it is very important that people who are watching this YouTube preview join us on Patreon and Subscribestar. We're going to have our main show starting in just about 25 minutes. Do you guys want to give us a little overview of what we're going to be talking about later
I
tonight?
do, but I want to cover something else first.
Sure.
I want to let everybody know that, when the system comes after you, there is no recourse from this side of the fence. They took our bank accounts, they devastated us, isolated us, alienated us, threatened our
lives,
our business associates, etc. And Dr. Corsi and others have gone through the same thing. And the problem is the legal system is so corrupted that there's no recourse there. Even if Jerry Corsi had wanted to help Roger Stone, if he had wanted to, and he'd filed an amicus brief, which is a friend of the court brief of information, there's no guarantee that the court will look at it, take it. And we did that. If you all remember on the Benghazi, that kangaroo court over the guy that wasn't even running the Benghazi deal. He was Palestinian. We sent an amicus brief to the judge, and it was never even looked at.
Wow.
So if anybody thinks that there is any legitimacy in the legal system here, they're smoking dope.
Well, see,
it doesn't happen.
The deep state, if you want to call them, for lack of a better name, the underground, the fascist underground, whatever it is, they have taken over the courts. They have taken over the factions of the government. We're supposed to have 3 areas of the government that counteract each other. That doesn't happen anymore because it's owned by all these deep state criminals. So anybody who, like Hillary Clinton, why is she walking around? It's a known fact she's killed a lot of people. So why, or she's had people killed, I should say. She hasn't done it. She's hired people to be killed, and her husband too. And why are they not under scrutiny? Why are they not just for the Benghazi?
Even the interrogations are softballs, But the thing is, one of the biggest fatal flaws that Trump has committed is he's not gotten proper judicial appointments in place. He's really been very, very weak, if not, an idiot about the judges that he's
I'm
installed.
not sure he has to say anything.
He may not have anything.
I don't think he has anything to say about it, but
the legal system here has got to be changed. It's got to be legitimatized, and all these things, all these changes that need to take place. We're seeing a pushback now by the people. And that's very encouraging to us. And in Libya, we're seeing a huge pushback. And in our show today, we've got really 3 major areas that we're going to cover. The third one being the international ramifications of what's being done in Libya, how this criminal Erdogan Turkish Muslim Brotherhood is joining hands with the illegitimate the Muslim Brotherhood in Tripoli. And the real fly in the ointment in this whole mess is the criminality of the UN, because they continue to recognize this government Tripoli, even though it was to be an interim government, never elected to anything, had a 2-year charter, yet the UN continues to seat a member of the Tripoli government as the representative of Libya without any legitimacy. So this legal problem that the world has is Erdogan is shaking hands as a UN government with another UN government. And so it gives him some kind of legitimacy to go in there and take over Libya, which is part of his plan to establish the Ottoman Empire. And incidentally, he's been promised by the deep state that they would allow him to do that, and he's going to be the new Khalifa,
right,
when the caliphate is fully established. And of course, the world's not going to let that happen. But he's got a big enough ego that is the fruit they dangle in front of his nose.
Yeah.
UN appointed the UN sat in Tunisia with a bunch of their criminals and appointed these Muslim Brotherhood, LIFG, Libyan Islamic Fighting Group terrorists to a board, and then they decided they were going to appoint them as the temporary government in Tripoli, and Tripoli said no, and Libya said no. And so they brought them in 2015 by the dark of night, by water, snuck them in there. As soon as their feet hit Tripoli. They said, "Oh, we recognize this as the legitimate government in
As
Libya."
did the United States and England and Germany and
so
Italy, etc.
And so what's happening now is the mandate, supposedly, if you believe there was a mandate, ran out 2.5 years, almost 3 years ago. That government still sits there, and the UN is deathly silent. The people of Libya, the tribes of Libya, the House of Representatives, that's the elected government in Libya, in Tobruk, have requested that the UN disavow the legitimacy of this government in Tripoli that is run by terrorists.
But it's not just the Libyans. The Egyptians have demanded it. The Greeks have demanded it. The
Arab League
has demanded it. All these countries in the world see the problem in this illegitimacy and are demanding that it be quelled by the UN. Of course, the UN, its silence is deafening. They've done nothing about it.
They do nothing. And then today, Salame, who's the
representative,
supposed representative of Libya in the UN, who's from Lebanon, has nothing to do with Libya, is criticizing the Libyan National Army for causing the death of 2 civilians in Tripoli. This is the hypocrisy beyond hypocrisy. He says nothing about the terrorists that have been killing Libyans since 2011, and the government that is a terrorist government held up by militias, stealing Libyan money to pay these militias. No comment on that.
This is social engineering. Even we hear from our Libyans, they say, "Oh, it's so bad. The Libyan army is killing civilians." Well, if the civilians are in areas where they've been warned to get out because they're going to eliminate the terrorists in those areas, if those civilians stay in place, then that's shame on the civilians because they're warned weeks and weeks and weeks in advance. And if they're staying in place, you've got to think, well, maybe they're hand in hand with the terrorists, because there are people in Libya who have benefited from this theft of money and everything else. The stores that are still operating have got to be working hand in hand with the bad guys. Otherwise, they would be robbed and shut down.
Wow.
They pay everybody. Everybody's a mercenary there. If you're paid, and people get big money, they don't want it to go away. They don't care if people die. They don't care if the Libyans have no electricity, no water. They just want their money.
It's a brutal situation.
So it's the UN. It's shame on the UN. Shame on them. Yeah. This is criminal what they're doing, and it's their pieces of garbage that they put in there, and they are the ones who said it was a legitimate government, and it never was.
And see, that's the legal problem, because Erdogan's saying, I'm a good, upstanding UN member, and this Tripoli government is a good, upstanding UN member, and this one UN member has asked this other UN member to come in and help us, and so according to the charter, I'm doing what's legally entitled to.
But this is his great hypocrisy, because he's in Syria and he was never invited into Syria.
Yeah.
So he's saying, "Oh, I'm legitimately invited into Libya with my troops," and he's not. It's an illegitimate government. It's a regime. It's a criminal regime. So it's a matter of playing with words. It's a word game.
All these lies cause hundreds of thousands of people to be killed. And they're the innocents. Nobody talks about them. But there are 3 areas, and we're going to cover a lot of detail. There's a whole lot of information about what's going on, the fighting in Libya, how the Libyan army is advancing, how they're getting supported by governments from all over the world, because they cannot allow Turkey to invade Libya.
No, the Algerians have stepped up. The Erdogan went into Tunisia last Wednesday and demanded that the Tunisians allow him to bring his army in and launch out of Tunisia and the Tunisians turned him down flat. They said, "We are a sovereign nation. We don't want your country in here." And they turned him down. And the tribe said he was so angry, he was supposed to go on to Mali and a bunch of other places to ask for support. He just went home.
Yeah.
Well,
Tunisia's got a huge Muslim Brotherhood contingency.
But they have more people who are
That's
not.
Right.
They have a lot more people who are not terrorists in there. And Erdogan went out and said Tunisia agreed, and immediately the Tunisian government disavowed that, said, "We never said that. We do not agree, and we will not allow that to happen." Erdogan went home and initiated some of his cells in Turkey, some of his ISIS cells, and they had some trouble along the border that night, and the Tunisian army took them all out. There was bombing from the Tunisian Air Force. They absolutely killed and bombed them along the border, in the southern border of Libya. They stopped these ISIS cells from initiating themselves coming into Tunisia and into Libya.
What do you
So
think about
it's,
the
you know,
look?
it's a game that's being played.
Sorry, JoAnne. What do you think about the look on the Tunisian president's face? He doesn't seem to be quite as engaged with Erdogan as.
Erdogan was not invited. He just showed up.
And that's the newly elected guy. And listen, if there had been any backdoor negotiations taking place with Erdogan, the people of Tunisia hit the streets in the millions. And if there was some kind of an agreement, if there was some kind of payoff, that got hidden immediately. And this new president said, we didn't agree to anything. I think he had no choice because the people were in the street. They were pushing back. This is what I'm talking about. The people all over the world are beginning to push back. They're not eating these little balls of hooey that are being force-fed to everybody.
The thing is, the Tunisian people, like the Egyptian people, stand with their Libyan brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
They understand the dirty game that was played with the Arab Spring. They understand their country was used, and they are angry about it. And the Tunisian president also said, we stand with the Libyan National Army to clean these terrorists out of their country and to give the Libyan people back their lives. So no one's standing with Turkey. No one, except maybe Qatar. And I don't know, Erdogan probably doesn't even have to go there. That's just a foregone conclusion. But nobody's going to stand with him. All the countries around Libya stand with the Libyan army now. In fact, Algeria has moved, what are those, rockets? A bunch of rockets along their borders, and they said anything that attacks Libya, the Libyan people attacks us, and we will defend.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
on the 19th of December, from one of the lookout points in Tripoli, they said that the U.S. removed their 2,000 special forces out of Tripoli. So this is how disingenuous the U.S. government is. We've had special forces inside Tripoli up until the 19th.
Supporting the militias.
And they said they were coordinating all the activities. They were instructing the different centers about how to attack, how to protect, etc.
Well, we're just about out of time here on our preview. We're going to be starting our sponsor-exclusive show on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty and patreon.com/Crowdsource the Truth in just a little over 10 minutes. And you know, while we've been talking tonight, Jimmy and JoAnne, it occurs to me that another thing that we've been doing here that's so powerful is by having this show every week, it's really allowed you guys to flesh out this extremely complicated dynamic that's going on in Libya, and given your personal experiences there, your direct contact with the tribal leaders, your deep understanding of the politics, the tribal system, all of those things, you've really laid out this story for people to understand in a way that nobody else has. And I'm really so glad that we've been able to work together to create this format rather than just, you know, what you were previously able to do, which was, you know, an hour appearance here, 30 minutes there. It wasn't really the same kind of thing as far as having this through line, you know, with so many consecutive episodes.
No, you're absolutely correct,
Plus
Jason.
all the proof that has been blocked forever on YouTube and the other areas. You've helped us get all those videos that are so damning, exposing all the war crimes and atrocities that were committed in Libya that JoAnne and I recorded ourselves. You know, that's been a huge exposure of the truth, which has not been done in any place where the deep state has been successful in hiding everything.
And anybody who becomes a patron of ours on Patreon for as little as $2 a month can look at all the archives of all those videos.
Yep.
They can see them all, and you can follow the timeline. And we've had a number of Libyans speak on the show. We've had Egyptians speak. We've had Syrians speak.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have more. We have more coming. We have Dr. Musa Ibrahim is going to probably speak with us. We have maybe Dr. Siraj. We have Dr. Fatima, the Libyan attorney who filed with NATO. There's a lot of, we just have to get translators for some of them is the reason there's a holdup.
Plus, we're fairly confident that the internet will be opened up again in Libya where we can have communications from inside Libya. They've been blocked, of course, by the NSA equipment forever. But
wow,
that's been taken
a lot
out
of good shows coming.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing that people who sponsor, sorry, JoAnne, the other thing that people who sponsor Jimmy and JoAnne on Patreon can enjoy, if you'd like to visit their website, LibyanWarTheTruth.com. Jimmy and JoAnne's Patreon sponsors can order the Escape from Al-Qaeda DVD. It's a $15 DVD, normally $5 to ship it within the United States. Jimmy and JoAnne's Patreon sponsors are going to enjoy free shipping on the DVD, so it's a great way to learn more about what's really going on in Libya while supporting Jimmy and JoAnne. We're going to wrap it up right now and carry on the conversation in less than 10 minutes at patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Thanks to everyone who's helped us make 2019 a great year, and everyone who has sponsored Jimmy and JoAnne. I really want to thank you for that. We'll see you over on Patreon, and thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.